All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, you got Proteus back.
Yeah, but you lose everything else. Shall I do it?
No, we got a couple minutes yet.
No, we don't.
We have 2 minutes.
We have not even 1 minute.
Are you saying my iPad is off by a minute?
I'm saying something's off by a minute,
Yeah.
and we usually go by this.
All right. Well, then hit that button.
Recording live from the E. Haley Memorial Studios, straight out of Almont, Ontario, it's time for This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes, your one and only weekly Warmahordes news broadcast. It's 8 p.m. Wednesday night, the beers are cold, the news is fresh, and the death clock starts now.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Death Clock. So we got kind of a cool thing going on tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to tell the people about the guest first before I tell them who you guys are, because he's more important.
We don't matter.
What's really cool is that Trevy was actually on one of our very first podcasts, like back when we didn't think anybody was ever going to listen to this crap.
Now we're certain that nobody
Now
listens
we're
to this crap.
positive that nobody listens to this crap. So, Trevy, welcome back to the cast. It's been a long time. Thanks for showing up. How are things?
Yeah, they're doing great. Thanks for having me on.
So you just got back from the WTC. What faction were you playing?
Cygnar.
No way.
Yeah, crazy.
That's a big surprise.
I play so many factions. You never know what I'm going to show up with.
So, of course, on either side of me here, starting with the guy on my left, is the guy that actually makes this whole thing go. You'll notice that there are some crazy things coming up in the near future. If you listen to the podcast, you know what's going down. We'll talk about it more as the cast goes on. 24-hour live streaming all the time. War Machine is no other than George Schweitzer, otherwise known as PG Semi-Auto Magic.
Hello.
What's really funny is that Fraser Balfour from Trolled Blood Scrum literally refers to you as Semi. And so does James.
Does his wife.
So does James, actually. James, the master painter guy, calls you Semi as well, which is really funny when somebody's like, I was talking to Semi the other day. I'm like, so many things I could say. Nobody calls me Miffed, because that would be awesome. And, of course, the guy on my right is the George.
George?
Wait, you've been upgraded.
I've been upgraded?
Yeah, I'm the Ringo, you're the George.
Oh, I don't think that's
No,
right.
all right. Anyways, it's Maelstrom.
Hi.
He plays the drums.
He plays
I play
the
drums.
I play the drums. Maelstrom, of course, is the guy that keeps you guys all excited on the chat and is the guy that makes all of our artwork look really pretty and does most of our T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. And
Go buy T-shirts.
And I'm the Myth Gorax, and I do nothing.
That's not true.
Other than show up
true?
and do this cast and sometimes
I've seen
get
you
us money.
send show notes. Show notes.
Show
out.
notes, create quizzes, get
show nuts.
us money, that kind of stuff.
I like those things.
Every
my
time
jobs.
messages me like, got some show nuts.
Show
Gotta
nuts.
turn off my Skype.
We're so off the rail already. All right,
There was a
guys. So
rail.
what we're going to talk about in tonight's cast is we're going to talk about Cygnar in depth. We're going to get Trevy to kind of give us his lowdown Cygnar in Mark III, pre errata, and of course pre-tier lists, because all that's going to change in 6 or 7 months. And we're going to talk very briefly about stealth as our sort of rules overview and our focus today. But before we do that, we need to talk a bit about the news. And before we talk about the news, because there's really only one news item, and we're going to talk about it in depth, I'm just going to go around the circle and find out what everybody's been playing this week. Tell us a bit about your games. We need to start with Trevy. Trevy, tell us about your games this week. What have you been up to?
So I played in a Steamroller this weekend, and I was just playing some random jank after the WTC, sort of unwinding. I played Jake's 2 and Striker 2, and across my pairing, I had 9 chargers in total, which was pretty cool.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, the pairing is called Positive Chargers because you positive charge the chargers, and then they charge. It's pretty great. With Ragman, they get to like POW 17, which is okay.
Very cool. Maelstrom,
All right.
you got a few games in this week, didn't you? Or did you just get the 2?
Just 2.
So, what were you?
I think I'm going to get one more in tomorrow.
Could you tell us in detail all the different lists you played this week?
So
I mean, you really went the variety
it's going
train.
to take a while, but I started with Abby 2, and then I finished with Abby 2,
Okay.
and then I'm thinking maybe tomorrow I'll run Abby 2.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
really You're really breaking out of the box.
I'm really expanding my horizons.
Let me guess a little bit about this. It's got 2 Hellmouths in it.
It might have 2 Hellmouths. Yeah.
It's got Abby 2.
Yep.
And a bunch of beasts.
Some beasts. Yeah, there's some beasts in
and
there.
2 Deathstalker dudes.
2 Deathstalkers that sometimes hit stuff.
there's only one Deathstalker, and then there's a model that immediately dies and doesn't hit anything.
I have one of George's old Deathstalkers, and that Deathstalker does a lot of work. The one I painted, like my Deathstalker.
Oh, pretty models die first.
It never hits anything.
Pretty
It
models.
never hits anything, and then it dies.
It's amazing.
Let's, Semi, you've had an interesting week because you were playing Cygnar quite regularly.
Yep.
But suddenly,
I was playing Cygnar most of Mark III.
But something happened. You had a little bit of penis envy, so you went.
I had to whip out my cock.
Yeah. And there goes our PG rating.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a PG. I give it back.
Oh my god.
So we had a tournament here that was a qualifier for the OTC, and we needed to be fully painted. So I didn't have any fully painted Cygnar lists. So I thought to myself, I know basically how to play Convergence. Let's pull it out of the cupboard. So I pulled out my Convergence. I put it on the table, and I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, you've been swapping between mother and father pretty much all week.
Yeah, mommy and daddy are fighting again, and that's basically my favorite lists. I'm playing a list that Matt, one of the guys from Montreal, dreamed up. It's basically Mom 2' Axioms and a cipher and a little bit of repair.
Right.
And it's a monster. It drags in everything you know and care about from about 16, 17 inches away and just beats the living tar out of it.
If you watch the stream on Monday nights, as we call it, the games from the pub, where we're generally drinking a few too many beers, unlike this podcast where we're sober, and you can check out a couple of those games actually because you threw them down at the pub. I've been so we have this guy in our meta. He's a great guy. His name is P.O. He's actually been on the show once. P.O. is what we call dyslexic. No, he's got ADD. He's got game
faction ADD.
Faction ADD. See, I have the dyslexia. He's got faction ADD, and I've kind of had it the last little while. I gave up Cygnar a year ago.
Yeah.
And then I played Circle for a year. And then with Mark III, I wasn't really digging Circle, and it turns out they're super good now, which kind of sucks. So I swapped into my first love, which is Mercs, because I really love Broadside Bart's my first model, and I really wanted to play him. So I came up with a couple of and Cephalics are my go-to love it faction. So I came up with a couple of my own lists, like early Mark III, and I did really well with them. So I've been playing a lot of Mercs. However, trolls just call to me from time to time, and I just can't help myself. And Ragnar's been super, super fun, so I've been playing a lot of Ragnar and doing a lot of strength stacking, which has been bad. Hitting, Jason, how does it feel to get a Mountain King in your face with that much, like the POW, what is it, 24, I want to say?
It feels bad, Will.
It feels bad. He just punches you.
It feels real bad.
And then you die.
He generally only needs to punch you twice.
And he bulldozes and he assaults. And then if he kills you, he gets to friggin' spray again. It's just awesome.
It's almost like they said, man, this model is pretty. We should make it do something.
We should make it awesome.
Yeah. Pretty gargantuans that do things. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I hear the Storm Raptor's going to be amazing.
So that's pretty much been it for me. Now, that was kind of our news for the week because there really isn't a lot of news. I literally wrote the show notes this week on Tuesday, I want to say. I sent them out. And in it, I said, nothing is happening until I mail this out. And I want to say like a minute and a half after this went out.
It was about that.
It was a minute and a half after this went out, the Insider hit. And let's hand this over. Just give us the Insider, Wilshick said, don't worry, things are coming. We're going to do errata. But then he dropped a friggin' more information than come out of a gaming company in years. What did he tell us there, Semi?
Well, they basically said, we know. Yes, we know. We understand. Yes, we know. It's okay. We know. There's an errata coming. And then he said,
Corn players, Steve, please stop sending us your models.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Stop the mail-in campaign.
Exactly. And so basically there was 4 sort of points that he wanted to let people know that they were working on so that people would shut the hell up. The first one is throws. They are too awesome. We understand. I would argue that they are exactly awesome enough.
George just spent like an hour and a half arguing with me why throws should not be changed.
Because they're awesome. They are looking at Crix's ability to handle gun lines, which is currently they can't, from what I understand.
I don't know enough about this, but I've heard
everybody
I've heard
has jumped
things.
off the Crix bandwagon locally, so we haven't really been seeing a lot of Crix that I get to shoot at. But that in itself might mean something.
Yeah.
They're going to look at the top 5% of casters. So Madrak to Wormwood, maybe Sloan, people at the top of the perceived totem pole, whether or not they're actually at the top of the totem pole, are the ones probably going to be under the microscope.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth one, the one that
they also said they're going to look at the bottom 5% as well.
Yeah,
Don't forget about that.
to
They'll
try and
retool them up and retool the top 5% down.
down, yeah. And the one, of course, that threw everybody into a tizzy, Scorn.
Yeah.
Yes, all of it.
We're coming and we're going to
understand.
fix you. Yes, we know that there's a problem. We're coming to help.
Yeah.
Well, I think that what's interesting about this announcement was they made a very big point of saying we're listening. We're not ignoring you. Like, I mean, they said that I think Will said it about 18 times.
Yeah.
Like, we're here.
We get it.
We get it.
Understand.
We screwed up a couple of things, but we're coming to help. So let's throw this over to Trevy the Great. We'll do a little quick round table, get everybody's thoughts. How do you feel about it there, Trevy? Are you excited about this errata, and what do you think is going to change?
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, Scorn, I think, definitely needs a little bit of help. Not as much as probably what the internet thinks, but definitely needs a little something. And I would love to see maybe Sentry Stones and Wormwood and like Madrak and Hellmouths probably get knocked down a notch. But outside of that and like Kador, I think everything's pretty balanced. And they've done a good job so far, so hopefully they make it better. Awesome.
Maelstrom, predicting off the top of your head, what do you think they're going to do to balance your Hellmouths? I mean, coming from a guy that loves your Hellmouths, what is a good balance to you where you're not losing too much, but just tweaks them enough that they're not ridiculous?
I think they'll either see a slight point increase, or the tentacles won't be able to activate on the same turn you bring them back.
Okay, that's fair. PG Semi-Auto Magic, coming from a guy that's been very involved with errata. Well, you mean you've been part of many, many erratas. Are you singing the Doom train like some people are? I mean, there's definitely some, Cygnar players, some Kador players that are singing the Doom train like, I'm going to put these models away because they're obviously going to nerf the crap out of all my stuff. Are you singing the happy, like, no, this is good for the game train?
Generally, when erratas come out, they have all been good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we don't generally see erratas that are sort of a general agreement that this is not how we should play.
Right.
They always seem to make things a little bit better. The one group of people that might have issue with that is Crix really hated seeing Asphyxius getting beat every time the new errata came out.
Right.
But I think everybody else really seems to just have been done well in erratas.
I just want to see Resnick get friggin' beat down. I took Resnick to the face twice from Aubin in the last couple of weeks, and it's just, that shit's ridiculous.
I played his Ammon list.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to deliver a cipher to Ammon.
Oh, that
and
works.
not kill him.
Oh.
I
Yeah.
beat
Why? Because
his
he had like
Resnick
19
list.
focus or something like that?
No, I hadn't let him get a bunch of focus
Oh,
that
okay.
turn. And then I won on time because he managed to not make his second attack roll before the beeping.
Well, I played a really stupid Pirates list into it that I really shouldn't have ever played. Anyway. Okay, guys. Well, that's basic news. I think we're going to move on to the focus for this evening. So, Maelstrom,
Yes.
hit that button.
Okay.
For tonight's focus, we're just going to do a pretty small one, but it's come up on the boards a few times. It's one of those weird. It's one of those weird rules that confuse people. I don't know why it confuses people because it's actually laid out pretty simply in the books, but I think it's the fluff behind it that people. It's like a mental block that kind of happens. We're going to talk a bit about stealth.
Mm-hmm.
So as always, I want you first, PG, before you sarcastically say what it does, because it's actually really simple. let's just for the new player, when you read the book, what is the stealth entry? Because it's not that complex.
Oh, just you want straight?
Give me the
words
straight
as
entry.
written?
Yeah, give me the words as written.
Stealth, ranged and magic attacks targeting a model from a point of origin greater than 5 inches away automatically miss. This model is not an intervening model when determining line of sight from a model more than 5 inches away.
Okay, perfect. So here's the hard part. Most people don't actually read the rules.
What?
They're like, stealth, it means you can't hit me from 5 inches away, right? That's it.
From more than 5 inches away.
Yeah, you have to be like closer than 5 inches to hit me, right?
Right.
That's what
No.
people no.
Wrong.
Wait, you're saying I'm wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
Wrong.
I'm always saying you're wrong.
So
But
hold on.
In particular,
So
the
that means I'm
assumptions-
invisible.
No,
so that
you're-
means
You're not invisible.
You're
Wait.
like the Predator.
okay. Wait. So describe it to me as you have a really great way of describing it to new players.
Mm-hmm.
What does stealth in a fluff sense? What is it?
Well, what the analogy I use is the Predator, because we're mostly white males of a certain age. So we have this.
What are you saying? I'm
this,
white?
Yeah,
That's
I am.
racist.
This image in our head of the Predator from the
Right.
eponymous
Yeah.
movie.
We
Never
understand.
seen it.
And he the Predator's shielding, his stealth field, if you will, gives this sort of wibbly wobbly outline. You can tell that there's something there,
But he's fuzzy.
but he's all fuzzy and
Right.
almost impossible to hit.
All right. So that's a pretty good way of saying it. So when people say stealth gives me invisibility,
No, it doesn't give you
doesn't.
invisibility.
It just means that you're like super hard to hit unless you're close.
Yep.
You need to be close up to hit it. So here's where the rule interactions get weird because most people don't read the rule entry. The next interaction is people say, well, okay, well, because you can shoot through me, because I obviously don't block line of sight, that also means that I probably I don't block drags and pulls, so you can probably pull through me.
Nope, still a model.
Still, but okay.
I'm not shooting at you. I'm trying to push a model through you.
Okay, but I'm invisible, and you can shoot through me.
You're not invisible.
You're not incorporeal, and you're not invisible. You just have stealth.
Oh, okay. But you can shoot through me because I don't block line of sight.
That's correct. If I'm more than 5 inches away, I can shoot right through you at your work castle.
And that's different from being dragged through.
That's correct.
Right. So,
That's a push.
part number one, part number two. You don't block line of sight, but you are still a model.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's two interactions we've just cleared up. I think we just answered 90% of the questions on the internet. We probably answered them all by reading the entry in the first place. But
Nobody listens to that.
I'm going to send this over to Trevy the Great. What does it mean to not block line of sight? I don't understand that. So what is it? What? How does it help?
So if you're trying to protect yourself using stealth models, you're doing it wrong. And if your opponent just chills more than 5 inches away from those models, they can shoot or cast spells, anything that requires targeting right straight through them, right to whatever you have behind them.
This is actually really important, guys, because we often forget about that.
Oh, yeah.
We often are like, oh, shit, he's got a whole screen of those models there. And we forget that those guys that are stealth that we also can't hit also means that they're not blocking us from shooting the dudes behind
Abby
it.
2 chilling out behind those hex hunters.
Yeah. Huh.
Who the hell brings hex hunters? with
Who
Abby
brings...
2?
Exactly. Wait a second.
You're doing it wrong.
I mean, Abby 2 is also a medium base, so
Yeah,
Exactly.
there you go.
Larger
There
one
you
anyway.
go. Well, that's another thing that we often forget is that you can see medium bases over small bases.
Should
We
do
sit
that
there,
next week.
We crowd a whole
Big
bunch
over
of
small?
small bases in
No,
front of
wait.
our medium base dude, and we're
won't
like,
be
you
here
can't. Oh, you can't see.
You can totally do it next week.
Here's the next weird interaction that people ask about: charging in stealth.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But
Is it a
but
gun?
no, wait. No. You don't understand because he's got
No,
stealth.
is it a gun?
So I can't see him. So
You
I can't
automatically
charge him.
miss.
No,
I-
no. Is it a gun?
No.
Well, then it doesn't matter.
Oh, so I can still charge the model.
Yeah.
It's not like they're standing behind a forest.
No,
No, they're just a model.
there's still a model.
Okay. This comes up all the time.
I
though.
know it sounds stupid the way I'm responding to you, but I have literally fielded this question maybe 30 or 40
Oh,
times.
I fielded it too, dude. I'm not saying that.
I've asked it too.
And we're
I
not
mean,
we're not trying to make anybody feel dumb here. What we're trying to say
Thank
is
you.
that Maelstrom has asked it 7 times in the last week.
oh,
And
I don't think he has that many stealth models on the list.
I don't.
sometimes he calls
Hex
me up.
Hunter's lost
Sometimes he
stealth.
just calls me up late at night. Sometimes he just like, well, Could you tell me? Can I charge a stealth model? Yes, you can charge a stealth model. All right. I think that's pretty much all we need to do. I could go into the other stupid questions I put down there.
But literally, when you're trying to think about stealth,
yeah,
it does two things. If you're farther than 5 inches away, you miss when targeting that model, and you can see
with
through
ranged
it.
attacks.
With ranged attacks, is there a 5-inch melee attack?
I don't know.
I can think of a couple of fours.
Yeah,
but I
probably
can't
isn't.
think of a 5.
But
how long is Proteus's drag?
4.
4?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So it's range attacks miss if you're farther than 5 inches away.
Yep.
Everything else doesn't mean anything other than the whole line of sight issue.
Yep.
You're good to go pretty much every other, everything else is the same.
So AoEs.
Here's where, that's an interesting
AoEs
interaction.
are amazing against those models
I
because
know,
you always miss.
Suckers many times.
If all you care about is drifting some AoEs over there, you feel free to target them all you like.
A cool interaction, actually, that most people forget about is a stealth model is actually kind of a good target for AoEs because often you can drift it back, especially if you get a reroll on your AoE, something along like with a gunner or with Dougal McNeil or something like that. You can drift back into stuff farther. You can gain an extra couple inches type of thing with a drift, which is kind of sweet. All right, guys, we're going to drop all that, and we're going to go straight into the round table for tonight because that was meant to be very simple, and I think it really is. What we're going to do is we got Trevy the Great on, who has this little website that people may have heard of called The Way of the Swan. It's been around for a while.
For a little while, yeah.
He might be the guy who has the Cygnar website that we all know and love, especially those of us who have played Cygnar at one point or another and aren't dirty Legion players.
I go there to learn how to
beat
Cygnar.
So
it hasn't worked yet.
I hope it wasn't too good for that. Yeah.
No, it hasn't worked yet.
Whatever
but I'm
Trevy's complaining about is going in your list.
Yeah.
So first off, Trevy, tell us a bit about you've got a website, Way of the Swan. It's sort of the as far as I'm concerned, as an Cygnar, I'll play Cygnar again as a Cygnar player. It's kind of the number one resource for Cygnar information. Tell us a bit about your website and about it, where to go to find it, and what it's all about.
Well, that's nice of you to say that it's a resource that people actually want to go to. It's just a blog. Essentially, most of the stuff on there is battle reports and some dojo and thoughts about matchups in the metagame. It's all from my point of view, so don't take it necessarily as gospel. But you can find it at wayoftheswan.com, and it's also I have a pretty active Facebook page, and there's a great community of people at facebook.com/wayoftheswan over there. And I like to a lot of times I'll do live posts of tournaments and stuff like that I play at. So it's like sort of little mini pseudo battle reports almost. And then you can find me on YouTube as well at youtube.com/Trevy the Great, and that is where I put a lot of video battle reports mostly. And other sorts of video content. But mostly I like to do battle reports that are sped up and then I narrate over them. So you can get through a battle report in about 20 minutes instead of 2 hours, which a lot of people
can't handle the 2 hours. Yeah. I can handle 1 hour. Arcane Assist has been doing 1 hour. They double the speed, which gets you to about an hour. I can handle that, but it needs to be on in the background type of thing. But yeah, when you people have said to us, because that's the way we do, we just regurgitate our games, and we've had people be like, "Yeah, 2 hours to watch a game? Nope." Back when we did battle box games, that was the best. 1 hour 45 minutes for a battle box game? Nope.
We had that 3-hour battle box game once.
Nope. We had a whole lot of nopes on that one.
Yeah.
It was a bag of nopes, and
we just handed them out.
So let's start with sort of the basic questions. What we really want to talk about is sort of the transition from Mark II to Mark III, and how the sort of state of Cygnar more than anything else, because we've talked about how Cygnar fare throughout the game itself in the past. But what I'd like to sort of pick your brain on, Trevy, is how you feel Cygnar has changed between Mark II and Mark III.
Yeah, so the biggest change is pretty obvious. Cygnar lost most of its synergy with mercenaries, which was sort of iconic of the faction in Mark II. It was Cygnar was mercenary light almost. You would just take a Cygnar battle group, and then the rest you could bring mercenaries as all your infantry, and it was amazing. And since most spells became friendly faction targetable, a lot of that has fallen by the wayside. And instead, a lot of the internal synergies in the faction were buffed a little bit. I think especially between all of the different sort of storm models. So all the models with electrical attacks became more synergistic with each other. So you can build these whole armies with like a network of abilities that work together with all of these storm models. And it makes for a more iconic army, really, and it looks a lot nicer on the table than the old Mark II Merc balls used to.
Merknar.
Merknar.
Merknar. So, in your opinion, what are the Merknar is what we used to call it. Merknar. Let's just spell that poor Maelstrom. He's been drinking. He's been drinking since noon. Just ignore him, everybody. So what are, there's iconic casters in Cygnar, and often those haven't been the ones that shine. There's been 2 or 3 that have always been the big casters, but let's talk about what's sort of current in. You've just come back from the WTC, which is arguably where the rest of the world kind of figures out what the best players are doing. What are the best casters in Cygnar right now, as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing, honestly. In the transition, if you're looking for something like super new and exciting, really the only caster that wasn't good and became playable was Kara Sloan. Otherwise, like the top 5-ish Cygnar casters has remained mostly the same. So it's going to be like Haley 2, Haley 3, Striker 2, Kane 2, and then a little bit of Haley 1 in there, maybe Striker 1.
What about Siege? Is Siege still up in those lists a lot?
He took a bunch of hits. Like, they just used him as a punching bag, and he lost a ton of steam in the transition. So he's fallen down pretty considerably. But there are some meta considerations that sort of keep him around a little bit. But I don't know if he's going to be – you're going to see him that much, really.
Okay, so the next question is let's top casters aside, because the top casters in Cygnar in particular, out of all the factions, I think the top casters are some of the most complex to play. Haley 2 being a prime example of how complex a caster she is. Give us some suggestions for new players, a couple of casters that you would recommend for a new player to pick up.
So Striker 1 was in the original Battle Box for a reason. Like, even if you're just like getting started with the game, he's amazing to start with. And especially if you want to transition into some of the bigger power casters that Cygnar has in the future, I think Striker 1's an awesome place to start. He brings his play style is very similar to Haley 2. The difference is that you don't have as much board control options, obviously, but he's a lot more straightforward. So your stuff isn't as fast, it's not going to hit as hard, but it's so much more survivable than Haley's is. Striker's way more survivable. He's pretty good late game also, and just has an awesome list of spells that he can use to really toolbox his way out of almost any situation.
That's awesome. So we're starting off with the original caster. Would you suggest my first purchases basically be the original Battle Box, or should I be going somewhere else? Should I be like Stormcladding it up?
Yeah. So the first purchase thing is kind of interesting. I thought about this question a lot. I wasn't really sure how to answer it. In Mark II, the obvious answer is like you buy the Battle Box, then you buy like a Squire and a Black 13th, you're good to go.
Yeah, exactly.
In Mark III, it's a little tougher. I think a lot of Cygnar's troop options are really strong. They tend to be pretty finessey. One of the first purchases you probably want to make is Centurion, I think. It's such a good warjack. It's so good with just about any caster, but especially the Battle Box casters. And it's good in almost any list, honestly. And it's not too difficult to play. I think Stormlances are up there as well. They're one of the strongest unit choices in the entire game right now. But the one thing to be careful of is that they're very difficult to play effectively. And I see a lot of new players get into bad habits with them, especially with casters like Striker 1, where you can armor buff them, you can feat to buff them, and you sort of get the idea that there's this very survivable Armor 20 unit. Armor 20 sounds great, right? Armor 20 is the best. But when they're on this 5-box chassis, Armor 20 doesn't actually survive too much. Like 2 POW 12s will probably kill them if they're boosted. So that's a good unit to look at. I think Storm Blades are probably a little more straightforward, so they're probably a good place to start as well. So I think Storm Blades the Centurion is probably where I would start coming from the battle box.
So do you think with Storm Blades the Centurion, do you think they really play into what Cygnar's now good at?
Yeah, absolutely. Cygnar was classically, and even more so now, was sort of based around control effects. And with the Centurion being like grossly overpowered, the faction can sort of bring that control into almost any list. And the Centurion's great at that. Stormblades are good at just hitting things with swords. Like, just a good unit.
This is funny, George. That like you own it. Well, you own my Centurion right now.
Yeah,
you're not fielding it. I have not seen a Centurion hit the board with you.
No, I am.
I mean, this is universally accepted as a grossly overpowered model.
Yep.
That sounds like you like wrapped up into a.
Well, every time I look at a Centurion, I think to myself, "But where's the gun?"
Oh.
Like I
He's
know,
got no super gun.
I know it's probably a defect in my own brain.
No, that's all you.
But
dude. That's all you.
But every time I look at it, I'm like, but where's the gun? You should have a gun. Like Stormclads have a gun. Where's your gun?
So this is a round table, ladies and gentlemen. For those people watching the stream live, don't forget that if you have any questions for Trevy about Cygnar, please post them on there. And we
might ask them.
That's pretty much what Maelstrom's job is. So he just sits here quiet until one of you asks questions. So
and I drink.
We've got like a good 10 people watching this stream, and we don't need Maelstrom to go home to his wife super drunk.
I have a question.
What question you got?
Well, since Cygnar is super awesome and they beat me all the time, if I wanted to start playing Cygnar, what models should I not buy? Because I have a habit of buying models right away that I shouldn't buy.
Archangel.
Shh. You guys.
Yeah, don't buy the Archangel if you want to play Cygnar. That's not gonna work out.
That's okay. I already bought it. What models should I not get if I'm getting into Cygnar, Trevy?
I think for the most part, a lot of stuff is playable somewhere. Precursor Knights are just awful. Don't buy those guys. Holy crap. I'd also probably say Trencher Commandos, but they're even like not actually that bad. So I don't know. I'd stick with Precursor Knights. Definitely leave those guys at home. You can buy almost anything else, and it works better in almost every situation. So yeah,
that's awesome.
So that, of course, leads into other than Precursor Knights just being so very bad. What do you think are the weaknesses of Cygnar? What as my Cygnar playing here? What am I looking out for?
What can't you do? Like what everybody? Where are the holes in your? Where's the chink in your armor?
So like the big scary matchups right now, Wormwood's especially just a huge issue. Cygnar doesn't really have many ways to get through forests. Most of the game is battle group focused, and there's almost no way to give Cygnar Warjack's Pathfinder. I thought of like Cray maybe if he still does that. I don't remember.
Wait, doesn't what's his name? The mechanic guy, with the voltaic gauntlet. What's his name? Doesn't he give
Arlen Strangeways?
Yeah, doesn't Strangeways?
He gives magic weapons.
He used to give Pathfinder.
Yeah, I don't think he ever did that.
Weird. Sorry.
He's like exactly one half of the Optifex director.
Cheater.
Yeah. Do both things. He's one of them.
Because we all know that in a moment, every Cygnar player would trade in their mechanics for an Optifex directive and the Squire for a corollary.
Yeah. Well, we trade field mechanics for Optifex directive. Arlen Strangeways is going nowhere, though.
Well, no. Everybody needs Strangeways.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's probably one thing you should buy. Probably Arlen Strangeways. Also, put that in there. And a Journeyman Warcaster. Let's also say that. New players out there, get those solos. They're amazing.
Yeah, they are so good.
Yeah. I don't know about the corollary though.
You don't think so? You don't think it's a straight better Squire?
We don't have induction, so I don't know. If
you don't want an extra 3 focus every turn.
Does it end up actually being 3 though?
Not in Cygnar. Everywhere in
yeah.
Convergence,
it doesn't
it's
work
always
as well. Mechanically, it's not quite the same.
Yeah, it's only one.
Yeah,
Per
it's probably
We're
better
talking
than the
about
Squire.
Cygnar here. Stop trying to put your cock in everybody. Oh,
Hey, I would just like to state that Convergence gifted Cygnar the Squire
God.
so that you guys could continue
it's like
to be.
trying to put his cock
Yeah,
everywhere.
and he gave you guys a house. You got a house.
I must admit the house is nice.
All right, so the next question really on the list is Lightning as good as it is Lightning good in Mark III? Because it was okay in Mark II. I know you didn't see Nemo fielded a lot, but is Lightning doing what we wanted it to do?
Well, I think you didn't see Nemo fielded a lot because Haley.
Well, yeah, that's true. But,
I mean, when you have Haley 2 in your faction, it's real hard to not.
But let's put aside the Stormlances. Is Lightning doing what you wanted it to do? Is there too much Lightning immunity out there? What's the deal? Is it a good way to go? Lightning centrical armies.
If you plan for like a mirror or a matchup in which there's a lot of lightning immunity, like Kruger 2 obviously is like a huge issue if you're kind of based around lightning immunity or lightning damage, then you're fine. So as long as you can plan for those matchups, in the pairing I have Cara Sloan, and Cara Sloan's going to play the mirror match. So if my opponent has any of those lightning immune warjacks, it doesn't matter so much because she's all just like straight slug guns. She doesn't have any lightning guns in her list. So as long as you've sort of accepted the risks, you're good to go. Lightning's amazing. The buff to the Firefly to give it its 5-inch aura of +2 damage rolls is incredible. I'm not really sure why it was necessary, but it lets you pretty reliably take heavies off the board at range with the sort of short to medium range lightning guns. You get a lot of like Thunderhead and Dynamo, and the Stormlance guns can get up to really high powers and really do a ton of damage to armor.
All right, so this is the inevitable question, Trevy, because you just came back from the WTC. What we want to know about next, before our viewer question, is how did Cygnar do? In your opinion, was it strong enough? Was there too many weaknesses? Was there too many other powerful casters? Or was it just great players? Or how did Cygnar do at the WTC, in your opinion?
So I don't have any like stats in front of me, so I don't know.
No, we're asking you for your feelings, dude. Get deep, feelings.
yeah. I'll dig into the depths of my psyche. So Cygnar, I think, is actually really good in the WTC format. They do two things that's really important. They are pretty tough to answer. They ask a lot of difficult questions, especially when you bring stuff like Cara Sloan with like 1 million guns to the table. The other team really has to play around that and has to deal with that in the pairing process, which is really important. They also bring counters to a couple important lists. The one that was most important for my team is I was brought as sort of the Madrak 2 answer. And I got dropped into Madrak 2 3 times and was pretty successful in playing that matchup. So I had a couple teammates that would just straight lose to it, and so I was able to take that matchup for them. And then also, Cygnar has a couple of really bad matchups, Wormwood being one, like I mentioned, and then I think Retribution is another one as well. And the team format lets you potentially dodge out of those matchups so that your other team members who have a better match in that particular matchup are going to be able to take that for you, and hopefully you can help the team out that way. So I think Cygnar in general is really good in that sort of format. They're basically a general all-rounder, and then with the ability to dodge their bad matchups, it's really strong.
Sweet. Maelstrom, we got a question for the board.
We do. From Particle Vagrant. He asked, Trevy, as a Cygnar player, how are you dealing with Ossian? Rhett is so scary.
Plan A right now is to dodge and hope I don't have to play against it. Plan B, we're working on a solution. I think the strongest solution right now, and this was the same as Mark II, so it actually hasn't really changed, but Strike for One's actually pretty strong counter in that matchup. If you listen to my podcast, The Storm Chamber, on the Muse on Minis Network, then you can, our latest episode, we actually talked about it. But you can you can use invincibility to try to feat early and deliver your troops, mostly storm lances, into Ossian stuff, and hopefully claw your way back from there. But it's never a particularly easy game. For the most part, it's tough to shoot all those Ossian stuff off the table, especially if he's bringing like resilient infantry, like halberdiers or Dawnguard Sentinels. I did play in that matchup at the WTC and was really sad. But my opponent was kind enough not to bring any of those really scary models and brought 2 units of Mage Hunter Strike Force. And I had two Cyclones with Kara Sloan. I killed 10 of them on the bottom of 1. And it was uphill from there.
That I like that we said that we are currently working on a solution. I have this. I now have this picture of my brain of like. That's why we haven't heard from Tim the Enchanter lately, or Mark. That's why Mark Andre hasn't been able to be on the stream. He literally has him in his basement right now. Like, we will find the way. It will be Dacian.
They just
giant chalkboard.
We have a Cygnar think tank, somewhere in the Hindu Kush mountain range. It's a bunker.
Well, that's a really good opportunity to pimp the fact that Marc Andre is also on the Storm Chamber. If you haven't listened to that, I would
super legit
highly recommend. Very good.
Okay, so was there any interesting revelations or list changes you're going to make that came out of the WTC? So you're home for a week. You looked at some of the things you faced. Did you have any moments of like, oh shit, I should have done this, or this is what I'm going to do next time?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the biggest things coming back from that event for my whole team, especially, was that, like, man, we've got a ton of good games in, tons of good experience, and really knew where we wanted our lists to evolve in the future. 2 things that I think I'm going to change, especially for future team events. The Kara list I brought was pretty generalist. It was sort of meant to fight infantry a little bit harder than heavy armor. But to do that, it wasn't like super scary. It had 2 Cyclones in it. Like, who the heck is scared of 2 Cyclones? Like, what's even going on there? And so I think to help the pairing process a little bit and just add an additional threat to our team, Kara list that was a little bit more skewed to having like a bunch of heavies with guns or a bunch of hunters or something like that might be a little bit better. But that's specifically for the team format. So I think in a normal steamroller, the generalist list is just fine. The other thing that I saw, which was pretty scary, is that the Karchev with a really heavy jack spam is a huge problem. I think a Karchev with like 10 plus warjacks went something crazy like 16-1, 14-1, or something like that on the weekend.
Bubba.
Yeah, we had Bubba on the cast last week.
Yeah,
so.
Bubba's like
Bubba and his goddamn Mad Dogs.
Fucking asshole. What is he doing? So I think changing my Haley 2 list a little bit around to try to fight that is something I'm going to try to do.
That leads us right to our next question, because that I think the most predominant question for our meta right now, because we're starting to see it now that Jack spam is really hitting hard right now. In particular, we're seeing the sudden emergence of, like, I loved Kador since the beginning, so I'm doing this 15 Mad Dog list.
I'm definitely not a bandwagoner, no.
No. But how do you, as a player that's not going to switch factions just to play Mad Dogs into Mad Dogs or play Wormwood, what do you do against Mad Dogs? Do you have a plan?
I was talking with some people right now. The general consensus is that Haley 2 is one of the strongest answers to that list. Because having like a very low volume of ranged attacks and a relatively low threat range, and then relying on warjacks essentially is all Karchev is doing. All are things that play into Haley's game. Now, she doesn't have any damage buffs, obviously, so trying to chew through all those boxes with a Haley list is still a little bit iffy. But she's able to get 2 turns of pretty reliably of beating on them before they're able to respond. And if she can kill 8 to 10 warjacks, which I don't think is outside of the realm of possibility, then she can try to attrition the game out to a win. Because
here's the thing: the big thing about Mad Dogs is the reliance on tramples to do everything, and to be able to just have all those free tramples throughout the game. If you can shut that guy down round after round, you're probably going to be pretty happy by the end of it. Okay, so I guess we're going to get into the last couple of questions for the evening, and the big one is going to be, with the knowledge that Errata is coming, we know it's coming in January, do you have any predictions as to what that Errata... We talked about before the show a little bit during the show, but do you have any big Cygnar predictions?
Specifically for Cygnar, I don't know if Cygnar is in a position where our stuff is going to get errated. I think one of the biggest things people complain about is Kane 2 for some reason. And so he might be on the chopping block, but I don't really know what they would do to him. I think make Trick Shot a little harder to apply is probably all he really needs. It can be kind of annoying to play against, having 4-inch bubbles around all your stuff where you can't put anything important because he'll kill it. Haley 2 could potentially be a target as well, but I don't know if she's particularly strong enough to warrant another nerf. And then Cara Sloan, obviously, but she already got hit, so I don't know if they'd hit her again.
Do you feel like Cara Sloan is like? Do you feel like she's been errated to where she should be, or do you think she is still maybe a little overpowered? How do you feel as a Cygnar player?
I think she's just fine where she is right now. Personally, obviously I'm a little biased, so who knows? But I don't know if besides like removing guided fire, I don't know if there's too much that you could change that would make her a little less of a pain to play against while still keeping her relevant. In terms of other models that aren't Warcasters, just real quick, I think Stormlances and potentially Thorn are both might be hit. Stormlances, I think as some people have talked about it could lose a defense. They used to be 12 and they went up to 13 inexplicably, and they could go back down to 12. And Thorn is just a beast. I don't know. You probably take dodge off his card, honestly, but he'd still be fine.
So, I mean, really, they should nerf Kane, at least until I get a chance to play him, because he's my favorite. He's my favorite caster, god damn it, and I don't want them to nerf him. Well, I'm actually kind of hoping that they do a Merc version of Kane, because if you're reading the fluff right now, you know that Kane's out on his own. He's striking out as a Merc, and I'm kind of hoping that I get to do some Kane Merc lists. So,
is he a Merc or is he a Pistol Wraith now?
He might be a Pistol Wraith. That was last year. Cygnar Pistol Wraith.
Crix.
Well, that might be his new caster form that he can like feat and turn into a Pistol Wraith for a round.
Oh my god, I'll never play again.
You say that. But whenever they introduce a new caster, he's usually pretty fair and balanced for like a week.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so last question for this evening, and then we'll move on to the lightning round. But we're going to take some time on this because we want to pick your brain, sir. And if you guys have questions, and to try to get more out of Trevy while we've got him on here, because we only get him on like once a year. I think it's been
as much you can out of me.
It's pretty much been a year to the day. I'm gonna guess we're gonna look back and be like, God damn, it was a year to a day. Give us your Mark III tips and tricks. Like hand out the grand knowledge to the other Cygnar players or the people that are just starting at Cygnar. What is your top tip or trick? We'll start there, and then we're gonna kind of keep delving into it.
Top tip or trick. I think just a general tip for everybody is pre-measuring is a thing now. You should use it, and you should use it to the fullest extent of the law. Don't get scared. I've seen some people be like, "Oh, this is crazy. There's so many proxy bases out. I don't even know what's going on." You're like, "Yes, embrace it. Embrace the proxy basing." I've had turns where I look down and I'm like, well, this could be a big turn if I do it perfectly right. So I'll spend 20 minutes and the whole turn will be just a sea of proxy bases, and then I'll sort of narrate the adventure to my opponent. I'm like, well, this is where Thorn's going to go. He's going to be 4 different places this turn. Are you excited? And then their army will disintegrate. It feels pretty good. As for Cygnar players specifically, I think maybe not being afraid of the lightning tech is pretty good. So stuff like the Firefly feels like it's tough to use, and I actually see a lot of people sort of complain that it's like so difficult. And I'm like, well, I don't really know how difficult it is to move your model in 5 inches of their model. You just measure the distance. We just talked about pre-measuring. You do that. But absolutely put those models on the table, try it out. The positioning's really can get a little dicey, but if you can pull it off, it's really powerful. So keep with it and get those reps in.
So speaking of models that positioning is kind of wonky
I
on.
think you just stole your job.
What?
Son of a bitch.
How would you recommend using storm lances? Because I tend to get those things killed all the time.
It really depends on the matchup. They're super flexible, which is part of the reason they're so powerful. Like they have the electroleaps to kill infantry, and they can still hit heavies pretty hard. I've been finding that keeping them relatively far back and just using them more as a late game piece is really powerful. They're almost more powerful the later the game goes. So a lot of times people will throw them out. They're like, oh, I can get a couple dudes here. So you throw out these storm lances, and they're really expensive models. So if they don't trade, strictly up, they can a lot of times come out in the losing side of that engagement. So
you do play them very far forward.
Yeah, I have.
Yes.
Do you think it's is it worth the 2 units, or do you stick with 1, or do you even go min unit?
It depends on the list. I've played 2 units, and I don't actually like it as much as I wanted to. Part of the reason is that you're sort of shoehorned into engaging early with them and like sort of running haphazardly across the table in order to get into melee with them. And I don't know if that's a great way to play them. With Haley 2, it's probably fine because you can feat to protect them, and probably the same with Striker 1. But some of the lists I see with like Maddox and Striker 2, they don't do enough to deliver them really to make that initial punch as strong as it could be. So like I played Striker 2 over the weekend, and I found that I had like a bunch of Warjacks in my list. I had a bunch of Chargers. It was just all light Warjacks essentially. And with Striker 2, he buffs them to the point where they hit almost the same as heavies, like really crappy heavies. Like maybe 2 of them equals 1 heavy. But they have sweet guns, and they're sort of hard to kill for being a 9-point model. So they were able to get in the zone, and the Stormlances just sort of waited around in the back until my opponent had to commit something important. And after, once that happens, the Stormlances go in with all the buffs, and they get a ton of work done. The big thing about Stormlances that you can use is, like, they have those guns, and they have the reposition, so you can still get work out of them early using their little guns, and with buffs like the Firefly and Lattimore, like, you can get them up to really astronomical power and actually do damage to heavies while still staying at a relatively safe distance. And buffs like Snipe from Striker or like Kane 1 are really powerful to let them engage early and get lots of damage on the opponent before they're forced to charge in and actually get work done in melee.
Question from the chat real quick. Legionnaires would like to know, what unit are you surprised people aren't using?
Probably Gunmage Rifleman. Like, holy crap, is that guy amazing. And I think there was, like, some people were disappointed with him when he first got spoiled, especially, like, on the forums. But just 3 damage, super reliably anywhere you want. I had a lot of people look sideways at my list at the WTC, and then once they play the game, they were like, hey, those guys are really annoying. Like, they weren't, breaking the game, but 3 damage a turn from 2 dudes every turn adds up a ton. If you play a 3-turn game, those guys have done 18 points of damage, almost a whole heavy.
Those things take Hellmouth off the table, no problem.
Yeah,
Well, they're also super effective against your solos too. Like anything, like that's the problem I always have is protect, because you play them quite a bit, Sammy.
Yeah, anything with 5
and
boxes.
trying to protect, because I in that Bart list that I love to play, which it's a pretty damn solid list. It's a bad matchup for me because literally I have to protect the shit out of my solos.
Yeah, because any solo has 5 boxes, and 1 turn it's
2 of
gone.
those,
Yeah,
it's
if
gone.
it's an important one, and that I'm like, I don't want to piece trade it because it's hidden behind. Oh, it's dead.
Yeah,
Right. Even if you're trying really hard to protect them, an 18-inch range on a gun is super difficult to get out of.
No kidding.
Especially, it's on a Speed 6 model. They're at 24 inches, and they have like a not great but solid chance of plinking your important thing off or just killing a dude. And then with reposition, they're so difficult to take out after they shoot. It's super frustrating. Like, a lot of times I've had them, like, they don't even move out of my deployment zone, or they'll move to the sides of the table, and then every turn they'll just, like, aim and kill one dude, just one random, like, Winter Guard Mook or something, and they'll just reposition up forward, and they'll slowly work their way around the edges of the table and just plink individual dudes off. And my opponent just doesn't have the range or the accurate attacks to get that far out to kill them.
We have one question left from the board, and then we'll move on to the lightning round.
The Nerzul?
Yeah.
So this one's not really a specific Cygnar-based question, but have you ever tripped yourself up with a proxy base yet, where you put it on the table to measure something and then forgot why it was there, or already activated the model, or?
I've probably done that.
I have.
I have too.
I can't remember something specific off the top of my head, but it's definitely happened. Absolutely. Yeah. I remember. I know. I have a habit, and people have started making fun of me for this. I have a habit of sitting down, especially with Haley 2. It's the worst with Haley 2 because she can move, anywhere, any model on the table. It could be 2 inches in any direction with Haley 2 with telekinesis. But I've had a habit of just using enormous amounts of my clock time, just putting proxy bases down. And it's gotten to the point, like, if you watch the finals on from Nova, you can watch them on Advanced Maneuvers, I think.
Yeah.
Mike Ireland comes out, like, I'm thinking about my turn and what I'm going to do at Striker with a bunch of Storm Lances. And Mike Ireland takes all his proxy bases out and lays them on the table, and he goes, Trevor, you take all the time you want.
I think the thing that's happened to me most often is I do like a giant proxy base math.
Yeah.
Like it's Haley 2 is a prime example where you automatically add the 2 inches for a teleport because it happens to me with Thexus all the time. And you're like, okay, so I got to do this. And then I do this, and then I've got like 5 widgets down, the proxy base, and an extra 2 inches, and I'm like, okay, this will all work out. Now I'm going to allocate focus. I'm going to do that. Oh, shit. I don't have any focus left. Doesn't happen as much in War Machine as it used to. And anyway, all right, ladies and gentlemen, Trevy, thanks so much for giving us that piece of your mind, but unfortunately, gentlemen, it's time for...
The lightning round.
That was really
imagining it. It's beautiful in my head.
I know that lightning round logo just stands out. Okay, these are the we've gotten a bit better about our 10.
My week.
This is your week.
This is your week.
Trevy actually did pretty well. No, it's not, because this is going to be Cygnar-based questions.
I lucked out.
I'm boned.
Well, we're talking about Cygnar, so we always try to make the lightning round
themed.
Thematic. So Trevy might have a bit of a chance at this one. But I also added a lot of fluff in, so as long as you've been reading the books. Maelstrom, you've been reading all the books, right? You're good? You've been reading all the books? Like
I haven't finished Blood of Kings yet, so...
you're screwed. All right, so you guys know the rules on the chat. If you're playing the game in the chat, try to answer it as fast as you can. Maelstrom at the end will declare a winner. People that are playing...
Usually himself.
Yep, that's me.
People that are playing live, you guys just have to buzz in. I go for the first person that buzzes in. And if you're playing it on our YouTube channel or you're watching this stream after the fact on one of the many ways that you can watch our stream, just try to answer it and in your own mind and laugh that you're smarter than us, because it's generally the way it goes.
It usually is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, question number 1. What rank is Darius 1?
Buzz.
Trevy.
Captain.
It is Captain. 1 point for Trevy. Question number 2. What is the range on Artifice General Nemo's Lightning Strike?
Buzz.
I'm going to have to go with Semi.
I'm going to say control.
It is control. Yeah, you got to be a little bit loud. It was more like a I don't really care about this game. This is the stupid part of the podcast.
Do I have to go to the Baba? Ding dong.
Ding dong.
Bing
I will
It's
accept.
bing bong.
I will accept a bing bong. You could be ding dong. You could just.
I could go ding dong.
You
go
are
ding
ding dong.
Question
Ding-a-ling.
number.
Ding-a-ling.
Question number 3. How much in Dice Plus blah 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 can Artificer it's actually Captain, I think. Anyway, Strange Ways repair.
Buzz.
Go for it,
Okay.
Trevy.
Oh, like total or
What is his
repair value?
die blah, 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 plus.
What's his repair
Blah,
value?
blah, blah. What is his
Oh,
repair?
it's D3 plus 3. All right.
There you go. You got it. All right, so
I was
2
like,
points for
he
Trevy.
could potentially repair 6 damage.
He can well, that would have worked too. I would have accepted potentially 6 damage. Question number 4. What is the P plus S on a defender's shock hammer? Go for it.
14?
Come on, really? You're gonna buzz in for that?
That's not even close.
That's not even like that's like a. I think it might be something.
That's you know what that was. That's shit. I got to try and get a point.
Go for it, Trevy.
17.
It is 17. Question number 5. What 3 attack types can the Black 13th choose from on a Mage Lock pistol?
Buzz.
Trevy.
Black Penny, brutal damage, and snipe.
That is actually word for word correct on top of all of it. Usually you guys are like, I think it could do the thing where I roll all the damage.
No,
The
you
thing
gotta
where
use
I
the
get
real
some
name.
extra range.
I was going to be smart ass and just say 3 that are not as good as they were in Mark
have
II.
you have you noticed have you noticed how
They're identical.
pretty
I
much
guess they don't have fire beacon.
they don't have that thing where they can put up the smoke cloud of bullets.
And the smoke cloud of bullets.
Question
that
number-
wasn't an
sounds
attack type,
terrifying.
though. That was a star type.
That's true. Question number 6. How much damage does a sword knight's penetrating strike do?
Bing bong.
Go for it.
1 damage.
It does 1 damage to what?
Warjacks.
And
War beasts.
okay, well, I gave you a lot of
Big
gimmies.
Yeah,
thing.
that
You
was.
did good. Yeah, to
Well,
big things.
they
I'll
do
give
1
you.
damage.
I'll give you half a point.
Try to be a little more specific next time.
Okay.
You are a PG after all.
1.
Well, that's how much damage it does. He didn't ask what it
True.
did it to.
Question number 7. What is the difference between Lido and Vinter when it comes to the color of their army's armor?
Buzz.
Trevy.
Vinter's army is a deep blue, right? It's like a navy blue.
Oh, snap,
And then-
son. That's a fucking
Le-
mic dropped right there. You're bang on.
Oh.
You're bang on. It's a darker color of blue.
I was going to say shade.
Yes.
I was just gonna
By
say-
halfway through
It did.
Blood of Kings.
Paid off. Question number 8. What is the range on a trencher commando's grenade?
Buzz.
Trevy.
6.
It is 6. Bang on. Question number 9. Which caster can arc a spell through a hurricane colossal?
Buzz.
Trevy.
Any Cygnar caster that has it in their battle group?
Bang on, because he's
Okay.
an arc
I was
node.
waiting for the trick question there.
It was the trick question. It's any caster.
I was waiting for the Haley. So if we've got Thorn and he's engaged, what casters can arc?
But it was actually like a simple trick question. It was like anybody, because he's a friggin' arc node, because he's that awesome. Because nobody can wait till that model actually hits the ground.
Yeah, I want one of them.
All right,
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
ladies and gentlemen, it's the Minty Fresh question of the week. Trevy wasn't here for when we inducted the Minty Fresh question of the week, so he doesn't understand how ridiculously, crazily
It's
impossible.
Please explain it.
I'm going to. So the Minty Fresh question. Our friend Minty, who is a lore meister and master of complicated questions, passes me one question every week that is theme on topic, and they're always. I think we've had maybe 2 people ever be able to answer one.
Yeah,
over the
something
course
like
of
that.
52 episodes. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give.
I'm in.
I'm going to give.
Bring it on.
There's going to be 2 parts to this question.
Okay.
This is
All
where
right.
I shut off.
Yeah, you may as well just go to sleep.
I'm done.
Have a nap.
Yep.
Watch the board, find out. The question is, what was Ace's first mission, and in what year?
What was Ace's first mission? Fuck.
Oh my god.
This is the most ridiculous one ever. I'm going to break it into like a simpler version because you guys can't. get
Yeah,
it.
I like vaguely remember the story.
All
when They
right.
were
The vaguely remember.
getting
Okay.
to a city.
So the
Yeah.
simplified version of this question that I'm going to give the, because if one of you had answered it, I'd been like, dude, you just won my life. I now have to clean your dishes for the next 6 months. The simplest one is
that was on,
that was on the
that was
table.
on the line. God damn it! Shit.
All right. What is
I
the
would have thought harder.
what is the device that Ace can use for stealth? What is the name of it?
Oh.
Is it Is it?
The Stealtherator.
It's not the Stealtherator.
Is it the infiltration umbrella?
Ooh, it is called the Umbrella.
Oh, really?
So I'm going to have to give it to him because that's pretty damn
Yeah.
go with
good.
diffusion
I'm going to give it to him.
cloak.
Unfortunately, washing the dishes was not on the table for that one because
Romulan Warbird.
you needed to
Wasted
answer.
my chance.
You needed to say Kane's mission was to assassinate a royal of Leal. Highly hinted that it was the king at the time, and the year of the mission started in 596 AR. I mean, anybody knows that. Everybody knows that, you guys.
Yeah, that's easy.
Come on,
I feel
yeah.
dumb now.
Like, come on, stupid. Yeah. All right, we have a few.
Danny, we should be ashamed.
Yeah.
I think we have to declare the winner of tonight's lightning round as the one and only Trevy the Great. We need like a cheering section, like woo! And
Soundboard.
how about on the boards?
Particle Vagrant by a landslide.
Oh, nice, because he was
He
the only
actually-
one actually answering questions.
And he
Yes.
had them all right. He had the other
Wow.
All right, yeah.
That's pretty good.
Now, for all we know, he's just waiting
He's just
on
waiting
the
for the
flag
answer.
and
But
wait
hey,
for the correct
don't
answer.
take it
For
away.
all we
Don't
know,
take
it's
away
just-
his victory from
For all
him.
we know, it's just Trevy.
It's just Trevy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for tonight. But we do have a few things we want to announce because that is also what we do. We try to make sure that local events, particularly in the Ottawa area, and whoever our guest is from their area are announced. So first things first, we do have to give a big shout out to our buddy James because he's got an event coming up in Kingston.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to teach you how to base. You could go and get.
It's all about that base.
You can get like a master class in basing from go on to James's website, which is Lost in the Warp. Go check out some of the basing he's done. I mean, this guy
And some
is
of the dioramas.
he's going to teach you how to do that shit
And
for
then-
like $20.
And then drop it. You drop the base.
Drop the bass because he's all about that bass.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can go take that course. It's in Kingston. It's coming up. It's in October. We'll post that on our Facebook page.
This is October.
I believe we already have.
Yep.
This is the cool thing. He also may have told me that there's going to be prizes given away. What? Like not like he's just going to give away some of his swag because like other painting
Schwiggity,
companies
schwiggity, schwag.
Boromir?
just send him crap. No, it's like
He's
some
not
stuff
giving
that
away
he.
his Boromir?
No, it's like some paintbrushes.
We have to club him to death when he's not looking
Yeah.
to get the Boromir.
Anyway,
Yeah.
go check out that. Just go take it because it's going to be the best thing you could do for the quality of your game. Just
Yeah.
better bases make better models. They win better.
The lightning round.
Why?
Hey, sorry, Maelstrom hit the lightning
Maelstrom.
round button because he's Maelstrom. All right, PG Semi-Automagic, what other events do we have coming up?
We've got a couple next weekend, the 15th. We have a steamroller out at Kessel Run Games. And then at the end of this month, when it's all getting spoopy out there, we have a Halloween event called the Two-Headed Pharaoh. We'll be using a variation probably on the Longest Night scenario.
Sweet.
And then at the beginning of November, we're into food machine time.
Nice.
So everybody get out to support your local food machines. Food Machine Prime, I think, is on the 12th in Buffalo.
And if you don't know what a food machine is, it basically bring a bunch of canned goods and dry goods and get to cheat a lot.
Yeah, you can donate your goods to the food bank and cheat heavily. I highly suggest the bring enough canned goods to bring a out-of-faction Colossal, because a lot of them get really broken when you can suddenly give them buffs they were never intended to have.
Other cool things coming up. We do have a painting competition coming up
Yeah,
at
November
FDB. I can never pronounce it in English because it's Brothers in Arms in
FDB.
Feur de Bras, FDB in Gatineau. There's a big painting competition coming up. I want to give those guys their big shout out. It's in beginning of November. So check that out. It again is also on our website. Over to you, Trevy the Great. What events do you have coming up in your area? Where can we go get beat by you?
There's a couple of cool ones going on this month in my local area. One of them is this Saturday, the 8th. We're doing an Oktoberfest themed steamroller where it's like BYOB. We're all going to get a little tipsy and play some War Machine. It's at the Temple Games in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And there'll be a raffle. They're giving a prize to the person who has the best Oktoberfest themed miniature conversion. And then it's also just a 75-point steamroller, so that'll be fun. And then later in the month, there's an event that happens every year, and it's awesome every year, run by the wonderful folks at the Armory War Games and Hobbies in New Bedford, Massachusetts. And it's called Pirates Booty, and it's essentially just an all-day open play event. And after every game, you'll sort of report the outcome of the game, and the winner gets these little coins, these little gold coins, and they can spend them to either get cool prizes, or you can get random draws out of a prize like a giant treasure chest. It's all pirate themed. It's amazing.
Very cool.
And the prizes in the treasure chest are things like, anywhere from like tiny plastic kazoo, or like one of those little containers of like bubble juice, to like you could get a $50 worth of store credit and stuff like that. So
Very nice.
Yeah, it's super fun, and they go all day. A lot of times you get 5-6 games in pretty easily, and then head home. But yeah, so that's October 22nd at Armory War Games and Hobbies in New Bedford. And
this totally sounds like something we're going to steal from MooseCon.
Oh yeah, that sounds
Done.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's fun every time.
So things we're going to announce, things for the people that are watching the stream and listen to our show regularly. We are going to leak out a little fact that's happening right about now. George Schweitzer has done something brilliant with his life. I mean, I'm really glad you finally
For the first time
you found a direction. You have created something magical and wonderful, and some people might not get it. Being part of the new internet generation, I don't need to go onto your
interwebs.
I don't need to go onto your thing because I can just go click on some buttons on the YouTubes. But you created. Some of us are a little older, and we like the way that television stations used to work, which is we used to just surf till we found someone, and we'd leave it on.
Yeah,
all day
background noise.
Because it's background noise, you could just watch some crappy shows.
Yep.
Well, we
Say
don't have
yes
just
to the
crappy
dress.
shows. You created something for
War Machine players, mostly
That's us.
by War Machine players.
Woo!
So
That's also us.
so.
I like this game.
So we're
I'm
sitting
getting
there. You know all the answers.
You have
It's
my
amazing.
attention, sir.
What I have done, we were at the Sioux last year, and somebody said, man, it would be awesome if I could just sit around and watch War Machine all day long.
That was me.
And I
I'm
was
just gonna say it was me right now.
whether it was you or not. And I thought to myself, well, why can't we? That seems like a thing that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of farting around and a lot of beating my head against walls. And we
a
started,
lot of farting.
And then he
around.
started
just
thinking
farting,
about it.
really.
Yeah, and then I started thinking about this. So the first thing we did is I started organizing the Moose Machine Network. And the Moose Machine Network's idea was to get as many people streaming War Machine as we could. We're up to 6 out of 7 nights a week. We have people coming on and streaming sort of dinner time Eastern time.
But
so kind of 7 to 12.
But that's not all.
That's not all. From these people, we have collected video podcasts. We have collected games, lots of games. And we are now streaming 24 hours a day.
So you can literally turn on. I mean, so fuck you bastards, because this is how it actually happened. We originally created this particular broadcast years ago so that we could create a network around what we did.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, you
no,
weren't
because you
there
weren't
at
even
the
around.
time.
You were just a sparkle in your mommy's eye. Is really,
You
really
hadn't
hot.
even been hit by the car yet.
Yeah. So we had come up with this idea that we wanted to have somewhere where you could go to watch War Machine 24/7 and it's sort of a general resource for it. And this finally coming to being, and part of that is to create this 24-hour streaming network where you can go and watch games. Yes, currently it is on a 5-day rotation. So if you do nothing,
that's just our beta. So,
but if you
we had
do
an alpha test
nothing,
a little while ago.
But if you do nothing
Yeah.
but watch it for 5 days straight, yes, it's going to repeat.
Yeah. If you've made it through all 5 days of games,
24 hours a day.
24 hours a day, you're going to start to see a repeat. I'm sorry.
All right, so
How
it
many
is in
hours
beta.
is
It
that,
is in beta.
How many hours is that?
I want to
24
say it was like
times
100 and... No, it was
No,
longer
it'd be
than that.
90.
It was a huge amount. I
Yeah.
had to do math to figure
There's
it
a
out.
lot
It'd
of
be
money.
95.
So here's the big thing: is that if you want to check it out, you want to be part of the
12 hours
beta,
a
which
day,
is we're just
5
starting
days.
this. We're gathering more content as we speak. It's coming from everywhere. Everybody's games that are part of the network, and you can see who's part of it. It's like 7 or 8 podcasts.
Yeah, and those are our current just our
We
streaming
will get the rest of
partners.
them. We will get everybody else.
Yeah, I'm actually in talks with a bunch of other
He's in
people.
talks. It sounds very official.
Well,
Super official.
And it is kind of official. I have feelers out there. I have some responses back, and other responses are still coming in. And we are going to expand pretty heavily.
All right.
My sort of goal right now is by the first of the year to have another 7 to 10 players on the network.
Perfect.
Amazing.
And if you stream
and you want to get involved,
create content, you want to get involved, you just let us know.
Right, because
and come and join.
it's not just games you're looking for.
we're looking for
We're looking
podcasts.
for
We're
people
looking
who
for
paint.
Yep,
Yeah.
everybody.
You're looking anything miniature War Machine related.
Right now, we're sticking with War Machine related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
as we expand, we will eventually broadcast into board games and other stuff. But right now,
We might create other channels for that.
Yeah,
we haven't
it's
ever
all
Yeah.
War Machine
All
all
right.
the time.
Putting all that aside, because this is still
Fez the guy,
in-
yes, please. If you meet anybody who wants to stream and
From
is
the
on
West Coast?
West
Absolutely.
Coast,
Yep.
European listeners,
Yep.
send your people our way.
Yep.
The only reason that we have Eastern time
It's 'cause those are the
filled
people we
up
know.
is because we're in the Eastern Bloc, so we're able to.
So we are in the Eastern Bloc.
Yes,
all
he's
right,
much
so let's-
time.
Let's
We are
see-
in Eastern Bloc.
We are in Eastern Bloc. You get War Machine 24 hours a day. It's tank parked in front of house. All right, guys. So we're gonna leave all that behind. Check out the beta. Enjoy what we've got, what content we've got. Try to
guys get
break.
the idea.
Try to break the system for us because we're still trying to figure out where the holes are.
You can just go to twitch.tv/Moose Machine Network or go to moosemachinenetwork.com.
Yep, and tell us what you think and give us any feedback because we're trying to make the system work. All right, guys, going to leave that behind because we have so many other things that we need to talk about. Before we let everybody go, we just need to give a shout out to the Wizards Tower who keep the lights on here and make sure that this whole shenanigan can happen. Thank you to Wizards Tower. If you guys are in Canada and looking to buy your models or you're looking to get Magic the Gathering cards, go check out wizardstower.com. And if you are in the Ottawa area, please go play your games there. Please go buy product there. They are doing so much to keep this community going. There are so many stores that you can choose from. There are so many great people in this meta, so many people playing this game, but some of those people are the ones that are putting the cash on the
Ahead
barrelhead.
above the
and
rest.
They're making it happen. We have tons of events coming up in the Ottawa area. As George already said, attend those events. Let's make sure that those events are well attended so that all of this can keep happening. Thank you to PP for making a great game and for listening to us, the fans, and we'll just keep on doing what we do. Check out the Moose Machine Network. Last but not least, if you are a fan of the show and you want to help support us in any way, we have this cool thing called our T-shirt market. You can go onto our Facebook page. You can see all the crazy T-shirts that everybody who's part of the network has designed. We have like a ridiculous amount of T-shirts at this point because everybody's just throwing us new ideas.
We have T-shirts with my face on it for no reason that I can.
There is
fathom.
no reason for you to buy that T-shirt, but if you want it, you can buy it.
Well. The person who requested the T-shirts
Bought
has now
them.
purchased them,
There you
so
go.
I can take them off the site.
Last but not least, you also can get if you see us at a con or you see us at an event or you want it, we have our cool ass Moose Machine bottle opener /feet token.
You can get those on the
You
site.
can get
as well.
those on the site as well. Get those, and we've gone so far over time just trying to plug shit.
Drink coasters.
We got to let it go. So
Yep.
it's now time to hit that button. Dice down.
Good night.
Dice down! Moose Machine and This Death Clock Has 60 Minutes is a proud part of the Muse on Minis network. Podcasts go online every Thursday morning. You can watch the show live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and keep in touch with us on our Facebook page. Just Google Moose Machine. If you can't find us, you're doing the internet wrong.